Welcome to the Shellman House on Main Street in Westminster, Maryland. As we head upstairs, we are going to travel in time to November 1920 to meet Mary Bostwick Shellman, a leading light and lady of her hometown. Women have finally won the vote, and Mary Shellman, after a life of service towards this goal, was there to welcome them. More than just an activist, Mary was an artist. Here we can see her dress from 1880. A thrifty actress, Mary remade this dress many times for colonial-era plays and other musicals and performances. You can still see the sweat stains made by performing under the stage lights. This portrait hung over Mary's bed for her whole life. It was not a picture of a family member, but of John Wesley, the founder of Methodism. Although Mary herself was not a Methodist, she followed John Wesley's commitment to service to the poor. Another important inspiration for Mary Shellman was Abraham Lincoln, whom she called her honest rail splitter. Mary believed strongly in the Union and was a patriotic person, fascinated with George Washington and other founding fathers. Mary didn't just care about history. She was ahead of her time and truly progressive. She joined the Just Government League and served as president for the Carroll County chapter. Mary would have carried pennants like these with the words "Votes for Women" in the signature purple and white colors of the suffrage movement. In 1920, finally able to vote at age 71, she turned her living room into a citizenship school to train young women on the voting process, maybe using sample ballots like these from Ohio. We are proud to be able to display Mary Bostwick Shellman's own suffrage sash with the words "Votes for Women" on the front. The part you can't see are the words "Just Government League" on the back. The Just Government League organized marches from around the state of Maryland to the Capitol in Annapolis in order to campaign for the rights of women. As Mary celebrated the suffrage victory, she may have sat here and reflected on the past. She was just a young teenager during the Civil War, and it became a defining part of her life. For decades after, she wrote songs, poems, and memorials to the men who fought in the war. To honor them, Mary started Westminster's first Decoration Day parade. We call it Memorial Day now. She was only 18. She led the town's youth, all dressed in white, to decorate the graves of fallen soldiers. She argued that all soldiers deserve to be mourned, but that we should never honor the Confederate cause. And here we have Mary's parents, Colonel James Meriwether Shellman and Catherine Jones Shellman. Mary was quite young when her father died. She kept his portrait above her piano to remember him. Catherine, her mother, supported her 4 children by teaching and raised them to be as interested in art, music, and literature as she was. Her children were Mary and her siblings, Fanny, Harry, and James, all of whom had careers in music, literature, and publishing. Mary's older brother, Harry, a poet and musician himself, started a newspaper in Indianapolis. Her younger brother, James, was her best friend, and her older sister Fanny lived here with Mary most of her life after being widowed. This photo shows Mary, Fanny, and Paul Reese. A relative, Paul grew up in this house and was very close to his 2 aunts. Mary went to live with him in her later years, and much of our Mary Shellman collection is thanks to Paul's donations. Other important people in Mary's life included Rachel Pye, a domestic servant of a nearby family, and as Paul Reese wrote in the back of this photo, the lifelong devoted friend of Mary Shellman. This is Mary's Boy Scout troop. Mary believed strongly in the idea of scouting. "Be prepared" is the Boy Scouts' motto, she wrote in a poem. "Be kind to the helpless and poor. Be clean in body and spirit. Could you ask of your boys any more?" When no one would step up to start a troop, Mary started it herself, hiding her gender by using her initials, M.B. Shellman. When she was discovered, she said, "Isn't it an awful thing to be a woman? I can't vote because I'm still classed with idiots, criminals, and insane. But be honest, gentlemen, that after fooling a lot of wise men a whole year into thinking I was a man, I am capable of handling the vote when I get it? And here we have a place Mary might have spent a lot of her time, in a sunny corner of her room at her writing desk. Mary was a passionate poet, penning political, patriotic, and reform-minded poems for newspaper publication. In addition to political writing, she wrote postcards to Civil War veterans and the lyrics to music she and her sister would publish, like this. Gold is the standard to win, a campaign song that Fanny and Mary wrote for William McKinley's presidential race. The song, which was published and performed on the campaign trail, promotes the gold standard, one of McKinley's signature campaign platforms that promoted every dollar having a set value in gold that the government could back up. 14-year-old Mary was with this young man's father when he died at the Civil War hospital across the street. Suffering from heat stroke, the soldier called Mary by his son's name, Henry. After the war, Mary was able to find Henry and check on him. She also made sure his father's grave was taken care of. Taking care of veterans was her lifelong passion, and these medals honoring her service in the Grand Army of the Republic, a veterans organization, reflect that. Additionally, Mary made sure that her own memories of the Civil War would be preserved forever in recollections of Stuart's Raid, a skirmish that took place right here on the streets of Westminster. Through these windows, Mary was able to look out over the street to the City Hotel, where she had nursed soldiers during the Civil War. The building was torn down and replaced by a gas station. Today we can see modern cars passing by, but just imagine, for most of Mary's life, it would be a horse and carriage passing by this window. Perhaps Mary used brushes and combs like these as she prepared for her theatrical performances. She was fondly remembered for always improving every play she was in. This picture shows Mary and her friends, which she cheekily labeled, a gathering of the fossils. Mary is on the left holding her 19-year-old cat, Colonel Black. Mary was really ahead of her time. Right here, she put in the very first home telephone in Carroll County. She loved telling how Alexander Graham Bell himself stopped by to check it out, and later sent her a little pin shaped like a phone. She had joked that her worn-out sleeve was the real badge of a telephone operator, and Bell decided she deserved a nicer badge. Mary was also a member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union of Carroll County, and wrote a poem for the local newspaper, encouraging men to vote dry for the sake of their children. Mary enriched her community by sharing her talents. She was always ready to serve her community, remember her nation's past, and promote its future. She encourages us to think today about different organizations that our time and money can impact. Mary never gave up on making her voice heard, and you can still do the same today. Many of the groups she worked with, like the Red Cross, League of Women Voters, Scouting, and even the local food bank, still exist today. Every time someone pitches in or volunteers, they're carrying Mary's legacy forward. Currently, the rest of the upstairs of the Sherman Fisher Shellman house is used as collection storage, but we hope one day to be able to interpret the other interesting lives that passed through these spaces. One such woman is Mary Key, another Mary who lived in this house. Mary Key had a very different life than Mary Shellman. Born into slavery in 1812, she was freed before her 21st birthday. According to Paul Reese, she was born and died in the same room in this house. Even after being freed, she stayed with the family and worked as a mammy to her enslaver's son and grandson. Lizzie Tyson, born in 1855, was the Shellman family's cook. Paul Reese, who grew up in the house, called her dictator, tyrant, and cook, and admitted he was a little scared of her. His favorite memory? Lizzie shouting, "Get out of my kitchen!" and him bolting for the door. Speaking of Paul Reese, he and his parents lived in one of these rooms. So did Mary's nephew when his parents died. We can only imagine all the different stories that these rooms can tell as we research further. Our Building Community Inspired by History capital campaign will make telling these important stories possible. We have raised more than half our campaign goal of $650,000. You can be part of this vision by visiting the Support Us page on the Historical Society's website, hsccmd.org.